Most cat owners think their cat looks at them and sees a person, a caregiver, a provider, maybe even their favorite human in the house. But that is not really how a cat experiences you at all. And once you understand this, a lot of your cat's weird behavior stops feeling random. It starts feeling deeply personal. Because your cat is not studying your face the way humans study faces. They are not sitting there thinking about your job, your name, or the role you play in the household. What they are actually doing is something much more instinctive. They are building a living pattern of you. Your cat knows you as a presence. That means your footsteps in the hallway, the rhythm of the way you open a door, the sound of your voice before you even enter the room, the scent on your clothes, the way the couch dips when you sit down beside them. To your cat, these things matter more than the human image you think they see. And that is exactly why some cats can identify their person from another room without even looking. This is also why people misunderstand cats so often. A dog may make their feelings obvious. A cat usually does not. So owners assume the bond must be weaker. But in many cases it is the opposite. Cats are just more subtle. They are constantly tracking patterns, safety cues, and changes in their environment. And when you become one of those stable cues, you stop being just the big creature with the food. You become part of the structure of their world. That is a much bigger role than most people realize. And here is where the misunderstanding begins. Many owners think affection only counts if a cat is clingy, excited, or visibly needy. But cats often show trust in quieter ways. They stay in the same room as you without demanding anything. They position themselves where they can monitor you. They relax more deeply when your routine stays predictable. That does not look dramatic on camera. But to a cat, it means everything. In a moment, we are going to get into one of the strangest behaviors cats use to treat you like part of their own kind. And later, we will get to the one sign that reveals your cat may see you as their emotional anchor, even if they are not a lap cat at all. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming cats act distant because they do not form social bonds the way dogs do. But cats are social in a very cat-specific way, and once you notice it, you start seeing signs of connection everywhere. Take rubbing, for example. When your cat presses against your leg, bumps your hand with their face, or whines around your ankles, most people call it affection and stop there. But there is more going on. Cats have scent glands around the face and head, and when they rub on you, they are not just being cute, they are mixing their scent with your presence. In cat language, that is a quiet way of saying, you belong in my space, you are familiar, you are safe. That is why this behavior matters so much more than people think. Your cat is not trying to own you in some dramatic sense. They are doing something more intimate. They are placing you inside their comfort map. A stranger may feed them once, but that does not automatically make the stranger important. What makes someone important is repeated safety, predictable behavior, a presence that does not feel threatening. Once that pattern is strong enough, the cat begins treating that person like part of their trusted circle. And this is where another common behavior gets misunderstood. When your cat follows you from room to room, it does not always mean they want attention right now. Sometimes they are not asking for petting, food, or play at all. Sometimes they are simply keeping track of a meaningful part of their environment, you. To a cat, knowing where you are can be calming all by itself, especially in a noisy house, after a change in routine, or when something unfamiliar has happened. A lot of owners miss that because they are looking for human-style affection. They expect enthusiasm, obvious dependency, something dramatic. But many cats are more likely to show attachment through quiet surveillance than through constant cuddling. And here is a misconception worth overturning. People often say, my cat only cares about me because I feed them. Food absolutely matters. It is one of the ways trust is built. But if food were the whole story, your cat would respond the same way to anyone with a bowl. They usually do not. They respond differently to the person whose voice, timing, movement, and habits have become familiar over time. That is not just feeding, that is bonding. The strange part is that cats may trust you most in moments when they seem to be doing almost nothing, sitting nearby while half asleep, turning their back on you, grooming themselves in your presence. Those are not throwaway moments. For a species that stays alert by instinct, relaxed behavior around someone is meaningful. And that leads to another behavior that owners either laugh at or get completely wrong. When a cat brings you a toy, a sock, or something much less charming, and acts like it matters. The reason behind that is more interesting than most people think. When your cat drops a toy at your feet, leaves a random object outside your bedroom, or in some cases presents you with actual prey, the usual reaction is either laughter or disgust. But from the cat's side, this behavior often has a social meaning that people completely miss. A lot of owners assume it is a gift, and sometimes that is close enough. But the deeper truth is that cats often bring things into shared space as part of instinctive behavior tied to hunting, play, and social learning. In the wild, young cats learn by watching, practicing, and interacting with movement. So when your cat brings something to you and then watches what you do next, that is not a meaningless habit. It can be an invitation, a demonstration, or a way of including you in an activity that matters to them. This is why context matters. If your cat drops a toy and immediately gets bouncy, alert, and excited, that is usually not some mysterious emotional ritual. It is often a very direct request. They want the sequence to continue. Chase, toss, pounce, repeat. In other words, they are trying to pull you into their version of a hunt. But if they place something down and simply stare, linger, or return to check whether it is still there, that can feel more like social sharing. Not because your cat is thinking in human symbolic terms, but because they are including you in a behavior that is important in their world. And that says something meaningful about how they see you. Cats do not involve just anyone in vulnerable or instinct-driven behavior. They do not play intensely, eat comfortably, or rest deeply around every person the same way. So when your cat repeatedly brings things to you, especially in a calm, familiar pattern, it may be less about the object and more about the relationship around it. They are choosing you as the audience, the participant, or the safe place where that behavior can unfold. Now here is another misconception people get wrong. Many think cats are mainly visual creatures, so if their cat looks at them, the connection must be based on facial recognition the way it is for humans. But cats are not relying on your face nearly as much as you think. Up close, their vision is not especially sharp. What stands out more is movement, posture, sound, scent, routine. That is why your cat may recognize you instantly from the way you walk, yet seems strangely unimpressed when you lean in close and expect a soulful movie moment. To your cat, your face is only one small piece of a much bigger picture, and that bigger picture is exactly why your voice matters more than most people realize. Your cat may ignore words, but they are listening constantly to tone, rhythm, and emotional consistency. In fact, there is one sound your cat uses almost entirely for you, not for other adult cats. And once you understand why they do that, some of those annoying meows start sounding very different. Here is something a lot of cat owners never realize. Your cat's meow is not really their natural default for talking to other adult cats. Most adult cats rely far more on body language, scent, spacing, and subtle physical signals. But with humans, many cats keep using vocal sounds because we are honestly not very good at reading the quieter stuff. So your cat adapts. That short meow in the kitchen may not sound like the longer one at the bedroom door. The chirp when you pick up a toy may be different from the drawn-out call they use when they cannot find you. Over time, many cats develop a small set of sounds that work specifically on the humans they live with. Not because they are trying to manipulate you in some cartoonish way, but because communication that gets results tends to stick, and that tells you something powerful. Your cat has learned that reaching you is worth the effort. But the deepest sign of attachment usually is not the meow. It is what happens to your cat's body when they feel safe enough to let go. Watch closely when your cat settles near you. The ears soften, the blinking slows, the muscles stop looking so ready. Maybe they stretch out with their side exposed. Maybe they groom. Maybe they curl up and sleep more deeply than they do anywhere else. Those moments can look ordinary, but behaviorally they are huge. Cats are built to stay alert. Real relaxation is not casual for them. It is selective. And this overturns one more myth. People often believe the most loving cat is the clingiest one, but some of the strongest bonds show up in quieter ways. A cat who sleeps near your feet every night. A cat who leaves the room when guests arrive but stays when you are there. A cat who pretends not to care, yet somehow always ends up a few feet away from you. Those cats are not emotionally distant. They may simply be expressing trust in the most cat-like way possible. Which brings us back to the question from the beginning. What does your cat actually see when they look at you? Not just a human. Not just the one who fills the bowl. Not just a large animal moving through the house. They see a familiar pattern, a known scent, a predictable voice. A part of the environment that feels safe when the world does not. They know how the home feels when you are in it, and how it feels when you are gone. And for a creature that survives by reading safety with incredible precision, that may be one of the most meaningful forms of love they can give. So if your cat is not overly cuddly, not dramatic, not always obvious, that does not mean the bond is weak. Sometimes it means the bond is so woven into their daily life that it shows up in the quietest places, in the room they choose, in the way they watch you, in the way their body softens when nothing bad is about to happen. That is the part most people miss. Your cat may never love you in a loud human way, but they may be building their whole sense of calm around your presence. And once you see that, the small moments stop feeling small. If this changed the way you see your cat, subscribe for more videos that make cat behavior finally make sense. And next time your cat follows you, blinks at you, or falls asleep nearby, do not dismiss it as random. You may be looking at one of the clearest signs of trust they know how to give.